What else can we extract out of the sidebar? So looking at the static HTML, looks like RoomList has a capital letter here, so I bet there's a RoomList.css. Yes, there is. Looking here, wouldn't you know it, there's a couple pseudo classes, so we're going to have to use Aphrodite again. Oh well, it's good practice anyway. So let's give that a shot. New component. Capital R room, capital L list.js. Import React from React. Const RoomList equals arrow function. Before I forget, export default RoomList. Return some dang JSX. What JSX? Well, let's go back to sidebar.js and find it. Here's the RoomList. So I will just copy all of this, or cut rather, this nav element into RoomList.js. Looks like it's not relying on any props or anything. It does have the styles.children again, so keep that in mind. I'll need to add that padding back, or margin, or whatever it was. Padding. And then we'll want to import RoomList here. Import RoomList from ./RoomList. Throw it in the page right here. RoomList. So styles.children, not a thing yet. But as I saw here, it's going to have to be a little bit complicated. So I will again import those two things from Aphrodite, style sheet and CSS. Style sheet is the class we use to actually create the style sheet with our rules. CSS is a helper function that we use to actually find out what the generated class names are for our rules. So again, not a lot of benefit in seeing me actually type all that stuff out, so I will paste in my actual styles. So I do stylesheet.create, pass in my rules. I'm doing the nav itself, where I'm putting that rule that came from children, from the other component. Styling the H2, styling the list items, styling the link. So this was the tricky part. The link, I had a before pseudo element that sticks hash space in front of everything. And then I changed the background color as well on hover. So that would be these things. So, okay. I have a rule here for the nav itself. So on the nav, now that's a class name now, right? We're not using style. So I'd kind of like the class name RoomList to still be there, so I will have to replace this with a template string. Now I'll need curly braces. I'll say RoomList, and then I'll say $ curly brace and call that CSS function to get my generated class name. So styles.nav in here. Next we have the H2, so I need class name, not style, equals CSS styles.h2. Looks like the list had one, so that's the UL. Class name equals CSS styles.list. Looks like each list item has something. So class name equals CSS styles.item. And do it to the second one too. And finally, the links. Here they are. So class name equals CSS styles.link. And I'll do it down here too. Class name equals CSS styles.link. What are the odds that I did all that right? Looks pretty decent. So I see I actually have the hash space in front of each one, despite that not actually being in the markup. See, that's all that's actually in there is general. So we have this before pseudo element now that gets hash space. So interesting note about that rule down here. In CSS, the content property takes a quoted string as its value. So to do it here, I actually have to have quotes inside my quotes. So my CSS value has to be a string anyway, and then the value is actually quote hash space. So I have quotes inside my quotes. If you ever have to do something like this. That is thankfully noted in the README here, because I had to look that up when it didn't work. It's all right. I think our room list looks pretty good. Add room list component. Of course, those room lists, those room names are hard-coded, but oh well. We're just trying to make it match our mockup right now. And I would say our sidebar is now pretty good. Sidebar looks right. Go us.